Have you ever felt stuck in life like you're trying so hard but nothing's changing? Well, what if I told you there's a way to change your life without doing more, but by thinking differently? That's what the law of assumption is all about. It's a powerful tool that can transform your life from the inside out. The best part? It's not about working harder or doing more. It's about becoming the person you want to be in your mind first. Think about it. Everything you see around you, your job, your relationships, your success, it all started as a thought in someone's mind. The law of assumption says that what you believe about yourself and your life becomes your reality. It's like having a superpower that lets you shape your world just by changing your thoughts. Now here's the thing. If you don't change how you think about yourself, nothing in your life will change. It's that simple. You might be thinking, but I've tried positive thinking before and it didn't work. Well, the law of assumption goes deeper than just positive thinking. It's about really believing in your core that you are already the person you want to be. This isn't always easy. It means facing your inner doubts and fears. It means looking at the parts of yourself you might not like and changing them in your mind first. But here's why it's worth it. When you master the law of assumption, you unlock your true potential. You start to see opportunities you never noticed before. People respond to you differently. Doors open that you thought were closed forever. But I'll be honest with you. This takes courage. It's not always comfortable to face your inner doubts. Sometimes it's easier to blame the world for our problems. But if you're ready for real change, if you're tired of feeling stuck and want to take control of your life, then keep listening. Because what I'm about to share could be the key to unlocking the life you've always dreamed of. So what exactly is the law of assumption? At its core, it's the idea that what you assume to be true becomes your reality. It's not magic or some secret formula. It's about understanding how powerful your thoughts and beliefs are in shaping your life. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you have a job interview coming up. If you assume you're not good enough and that you'll probably fail, how do you think you'll act in the interview? You might stumble over your words, forget important points, or come across as nervous and unsure. And guess what? That makes it more likely that you won't get the job. But what if you assumed you were the perfect fit for the job? What if you truly believed in your heart that you were capable and qualified? You'd walk into that interview with confidence. You'd speak clearly and passionately about your skills. You'd make a great impression. And your chances of getting the job would be much higher. That's the law of assumption in action. It's not about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about truly believing in your potential and your worth. When you do that, you start acting in ways that make your assumptions come true. Now, you might be thinking, but I can't just change what I believe overnight. And you're right. It takes practice and patience. But the good news is, you can start small. You can begin by assuming small, positive things about yourself and your day. Maybe you start by assuming you'll have a good conversation with someone today, or that you'll find a solution to a problem you've been struggling with. As you practice this and see small successes, your belief in the law of assumption will grow. And as your belief grows, so will your ability to assume bigger and better things for your life. Remember, the law of assumption isn't about ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about choosing to focus on the potential for positive change and growth. It's about seeing yourself and your life through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. In the next part of our discussion, we'll dive deeper into how the law of assumption works in our everyday lives. We'll explore how our thoughts and beliefs shape our experiences in ways we might not even realize. And we'll look at some practical ways you can start using the law of assumption to create positive changes in your life. But before we move on, I want you to take a moment to reflect. Think about an area of your life where you've been feeling stuck or frustrated. Now consider what assumptions you've been making about that situation. Have you been assuming the worst? Have you been telling yourself it can't change? Just becoming aware of these assumptions is the first step in changing them. As we continue, keep this area of your life in mind. We're going to explore how you can use the law of assumption to transform not just your thoughts about this situation, but the situation itself. Are you ready to unlock your potential and create the life you've always wanted? Let's keep going and discover how the law of assumption can work for you. Now that we understand what the law of assumption is, let's dive into how it actually works in our everyday lives. It's not just about positive thinking, it's about how our thoughts and beliefs shape our entire experience of the world. Think about it this way. Your mind is like a filter through which you experience everything in your life. Your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions color everything you see and do. They affect how you interpret events, how you react to situations, and even what opportunities you notice or miss. Let's look at an everyday example to see this in action. Imagine two people starting a new job. The first person assumes they'll struggle to fit in and that the work will be too hard. The second person assumes they'll make friends easily and that they'll be good at the job. Now, both these people will face the same workplace, the same colleagues, and the same tasks. But their experiences will be very different because of their assumptions. The first person, expecting to struggle, might keep to themselves, avoiding conversation with colleagues. They might hesitate to ask questions, fearing they'll look stupid. When faced with a challenging task, they might give up quickly, thinking, "I knew this would be too hard for me." The second person, on the other hand, approaches everything with confidence. They strike up conversations easily, assuming people will like them. When they face a difficult task, they see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. They ask questions freely, assuming their colleagues will be happy to help. After a month on the job, who do you think will be happier and more successful? The first person might find their fears confirmed. They haven't made friends and they're struggling with the work. The second person will likely have settled in well, made some friends, and be tackling their work with confidence. This is how the law of assumption works. Your assumptions shape your actions, which in turn shape your reality. It's not that the job or the people were different for these two individuals. It's that their assumptions led them to act in ways that created very different experiences. Now you might be thinking, but what if I genuinely struggle with something? Should I just assume I'm great at it? That's a great question. The law of assumption isn't about denying reality or pretending you have skills you don't. Instead, it's about assuming the best possible outcome and your ability to learn and grow. So in our job example, even if you're in a field that's new to you, you could assume, I may not know everything yet, but I'm a quick learner. I'll get better every day, and soon I'll be great at this job. This assumption acknowledges the current reality while also opening the door for growth and improvement. The power of the law of assumption lies in its ability to change not just your thoughts, but your actions. When you assume positive outcomes, you act in ways that make those outcomes more likely. You take more risks, you persist in the face of challenges, and you're more open to opportunities. It's important to understand that this isn't about wishful thinking or just hoping things will get better. It's about truly believing in your ability to learn, grow, and succeed. When you hold this belief deeply, it changes how you approach every situation in your life. Think about an area in your life where you've been assuming the worst. Maybe you've been thinking you'll never find a fulfilling relationship or that you'll always struggle with money? How have these assumptions been affecting your actions? Have they been holding you back from taking risks or trying new things? Now, imagine if you could change those assumptions. What if you assumed that the right relationship is just around the corner, or that you have the ability to create financial abundance? How would that change your actions? Would you be more open to meeting new people? Would you be more likely to look for new financial opportunities or to learn about managing money? This is the transformative power of the law of assumption. By changing your core assumptions about yourself and your life, you can create real, tangible changes in your world. In the next section, we're going to explore another fascinating aspect of the law of assumption, the mirror effect. We'll look at how reality seems to reflect back to us what we believe about ourselves and the world. Understanding this concept can give you even more control over your life experiences. Remember, the law of assumption isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about approaching life with a mindset of possibility and growth. It's about assuming the best of yourself and your abilities, and then acting in alignment with those assumptions. As we move forward, I encourage you to start noticing your assumptions. What are you assuming about yourself, about others, about your life? Are these assumptions serving you, or are they holding you back? Just becoming aware of your assumptions is the first step in using the law of assumption to create positive change in your life. Now that we've explored how the law of assumption works in our daily lives, let's dive into one of its most fascinating aspects, the mirror effect. This concept suggests that our reality is like a mirror, reflecting back to us what we believe about ourselves and the world around us. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. If you smile, the reflection smiles back. If you frown, the reflection frowns. Our life experiences work in a similar way. The situations, people, and opportunities we encounter often seem to reflect our inner beliefs and assumptions. Let's break this down with a simple example. Have you ever noticed that when you're having a bad day, everything seems to go wrong? You wake up late, you spill coffee on your shirt, you hit every red light on your way to work. It feels like the world is against you. But here's the interesting part. On days when you're in a great mood, those same little setbacks might not bother you at all. You might even laugh them off. The external events haven't changed, but your perception and reaction to them have. This is the mirror effect in action. When we assume the world is against us, we tend to notice and focus on all the negative things that happen. We might overlook the good things or brush them off as flukes. On the other hand, when we assume things will work out well, we tend to notice more positive events and find silver linings even in challenges. But the mirror effect goes even deeper than this. It's not just about how we perceive events, but about how we create our experiences through our assumptions and beliefs. For example, if you believe that people are generally kind and helpful, you're more likely to approach others with openness and friendliness. This, in turn, makes it more likely that people will respond to you in a kind and helpful way. Your belief is reflected back to you in your experiences. On the flip side, if you believe that people are out to get you or take advantage of you, you might approach others with suspicion or hostility. This could lead to defensive or negative reactions from others, seemingly confirming your belief. Now you might be thinking, but bad things happen to good people all the time. How can this be a mirror? And you're right. The mirror effect doesn't mean that nothing bad will ever happen if you think positively. Life is complex, and many factors are outside our control. What the mirror effect suggests is that our assumptions and beliefs play a significant role in shaping our overall experience of life. They influence how we interpret events, how we react to challenges, and even what opportunities we notice or create for ourselves. Understanding the mirror effect can be incredibly empowering. It means that by changing your inner world, your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions, you can begin to change your outer world. For instance, if you've always assumed that you're bad with money, you might find yourself constantly struggling financially. But what if you changed that assumption? What if you started to believe that you're capable of managing money well and creating abundance? At first, nothing in your external reality might change. But with this new assumption, you might start noticing financial opportunities you overlooked before. You might be more inclined to learn about personal finance or to ask for a raise at work. Over time, these small changes in your actions, driven by your new assumption, could lead to real improvements in your financial situation. The mirror effect reminds us that we have more control over our life experiences than we often realize. It's not about controlling external events, but about shaping our perception and response to those events. This doesn't mean we should ignore problems or pretend everything is perfect. Instead, it's about approaching life with a sense of empowerment and possibility. It's about assuming that no matter what happens, you have the strength and resources to handle it and grow from it. Practicing the mirror effect starts with becoming aware of your current assumptions. What do you believe about yourself, about others, about the world? Are these beliefs serving you, or are they holding you back? Once you're aware of your assumptions, you can start to change them. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that takes time and practice. But even small shifts in your assumptions can start to create ripples of change in your life. For example, instead of assuming I always mess things up, you could start assuming I'm capable of learning from my mistakes and improving. Instead of good things never happen to me, try I'm open to receiving good things in my life. As you practice these new assumptions, pay attention to how your experiences start to shift. You might notice new opportunities arising or find yourself handling challenges with more ease and confidence. Remember, the mirror effect isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the role our inner world plays in shaping our outer experiences. It's about assuming the best of ourselves and our abilities and then acting in alignment with those assumptions. In the next section, we'll explore some common doubts people face when working with the law of assumption and the mirror effect. We'll discuss strategies for overcoming these doubts and staying committed to your new, empowering assumptions. As we move forward, I encourage you to start seeing your life as a reflection of your inner world. What assumptions are you making, and how are they being mirrored back to you in your experiences? By becoming aware of this mirror effect, you're taking the first step towards consciously shaping your reality. Remember, the power to change your life lies within you. Your assumptions and beliefs are the brushes with which you paint your reality. As you master the law of assumption and understand the mirror effect, you'll find yourself increasingly able to create the life you truly desire. Overcoming doubts. When you start working with the law of assumption, it's normal to have doubts. You might think, this sounds too good to be true, or what if it doesn't work for me? These doubts are a natural part of the process, but they can hold you back if you let them. Let's talk about some common doubts people have and how to overcome them. One big doubt is, what if I'm just fooling myself? It's important to understand that the law of assumption isn't about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about choosing to focus on positive possibilities and believing in your ability to grow and change. Another common doubt is, but my current situation is so bad, how can thinking differently change anything? Remember, the law of assumption doesn't ignore your current reality. Instead, it helps you see beyond it to what's possible. It's like planting a seed. At first, you might not see any change, but with time and nurturing, that seed can grow into something beautiful. Here's a simple tip to help you stay positive. Start small. Don't try to change your whole life overnight. Begin by making small positive assumptions about your day. Maybe assume you'll have a good conversation with someone or that you'll learn something new. As you see these small assumptions come true, your belief in the process will grow. It's also helpful to surround yourself with positive influences. This could mean reading inspiring books, listening to uplifting podcasts, or spending time with supportive friends. The more you expose yourself to positive ideas, the easier it becomes to maintain positive assumptions. Remember, doubts are just thoughts. They're not facts. When you notice a doubt creeping in, acknowledge it, but don't let it take over. Instead, gently remind yourself of the positive assumption you're choosing to make. Now, let's put the law of assumption into practice with a simple exercise. This exercise will help you start using the law of assumption in your daily life. Choose one area of your life where you'd like to see a positive change. It could be your relationships, your career, your health, or anything else that's important to you. Now, think about what assumption you currently hold about this area. For example, if it's about relationships, you might realize you've been assuming, "I'm not lovable." The next step is to create a new, positive assumption. Continuing with our example, you might choose to assume, "I am worthy of love and capable of building strong, healthy relationships." This new assumption should feel good to you, but also believable. If it feels too far from your current beliefs, you can start with something like, "I'm learning to open myself to love and connection." Now here's the important part. For the next week, act as if this new assumption is true. When you wake up in the morning, remind yourself of your new assumption. Throughout the day, look for evidence that supports this assumption. Even small things count. For example, if you're working on the relationship assumption, you might notice a friendly interaction with a cashier, a compliment from a coworker, or an enjoyable conversation with a friend. These all support the idea that you're capable of positive connections. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write down any experiences or observations that aligned with your new assumption. This helps reinforce the positive belief in your mind. Remember, this exercise isn't about instantly transforming your life. It's about gradually shifting your perspective and opening yourself up to new possibilities. Be patient with yourself and celebrate even small changes. When working with the law of assumption, it's crucial to understand that change takes time. You might not see big results right away, and that's okay. Think of it like planting a garden. When you first put seeds in the ground, you don't see anything happening on the surface. But underneath, those seeds are starting to sprout and grow. It's the same with the law of assumption. When you start making new, positive assumptions, changes are happening in your mind, even if you can't see them yet. You're creating new thought patterns and beliefs that will eventually show up in your external reality. This is where patience comes in. It's easy to get discouraged if you don't see immediate results. You might think, "This isn't working," and be tempted to give up. But remember, lasting change takes time. Just like it took time for your current assumptions to shape your reality, it will take time for your new assumptions to create noticeable changes. Persistence is equally important. The law of assumption isn't something you do once and then forget about. It's a practice, something you need to work on consistently. This means reminding yourself of your new assumptions every day, looking for evidence that supports them, and gently correcting yourself when you slip back into old thought patterns. Here's a helpful tip. Treat your new assumptions like a new habit you're trying to form. Just like you might set a reminder to exercise or drink water, set reminders to check in with your assumptions. You could put a note on your mirror, set an alarm on your phone, or use a habit tracking app. It's also important to be kind to yourself during this process. You might have days where you struggle to maintain your new assumptions, and that's okay. Instead of getting frustrated with yourself, see it as an opportunity to practice. Each time you notice yourself slipping into old thought patterns and choose to redirect to your new assumptions, you're strengthening your mental muscles. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. You don't need to maintain positive assumptions 100% of the time for the law of assumption to work. What matters is your overall direction and commitment to the process. As you persist in practicing the law of assumption, you'll likely start to notice small changes. Maybe you'll feel more confident in certain situations, or you'll start to see more opportunities aligning with your goals. These small changes are signs that your new assumptions are starting to take root. Celebrate these small wins. They're proof that the process is working, even if you haven't reached your ultimate goal yet. Each small success builds your belief in the law of assumption and motivates you to keep going. It's also helpful to keep a journal of your journey. Write down your assumptions, your experiences, and any changes you notice. This can be incredibly encouraging when you look back and see how far you've come. Remember, everyone's journey with the law of assumption is unique. Some people might see changes quickly, while for others, it might take more time. Don't compare your progress to anyone else's. Trust in your own journey and the process. As you continue to work with the law of assumption, you might find that your initial goals change or expand. That's perfectly normal and even exciting. As you start to see the power of your assumptions, you might discover new possibilities you hadn't considered before. Stay open to these new possibilities. The law of assumption isn't just about achieving specific goals, it's about transforming your entire approach to life. It's about cultivating a mindset of possibility and empowerment that can benefit you in all areas of your life. So, as you move forward with the law of assumption, remember, be patient with yourself and the process, persist in your practice even when it feels challenging, and stay open to the amazing changes that can unfold in your life. Your commitment and consistency will pay off, often in ways you might not expect. In the next section, we'll look at some real-life success stories of people who have used the law of assumption to transform their lives. These stories can inspire you and show you the diverse ways this principle can work in different situations. Let's take a moment to explore some real-life examples of people who have used the law of assumption to change their lives. These stories show how this principle can work in different situations and might inspire you in your own journey. First, let's talk about Sarah. Sarah had always struggled with public speaking. She assumed she was bad at it and would always feel nervous in front of crowds. This assumption led her to avoid opportunities that involved speaking, which held her back in her career. One day, Sarah learned about the law of assumption. She decided to change her assumption to, "I am a confident and engaging speaker." At first, it felt strange and untrue, but Sarah persisted. She practiced her new assumption daily, visualizing herself speaking confidently to large groups. Sarah also took small steps to support her new assumption. She joined a local speaking club and volunteered to give short presentations at work. Each time she spoke, she reminded herself of her new assumption. Over time, Sarah noticed changes. Her hands shook less when she spoke. She found herself volunteering for speaking opportunities she would have avoided before. After a few months, Sarah's boss noticed her improved confidence and gave her the chance to present at a big company event. To Sarah's surprise, the presentation went well. She felt nervous but not overwhelmed. The positive feedback she received further reinforced her new assumption. 2 years later, Sarah is now known as one of the best presenters in her company and even enjoys public speaking. Now let's look at Mike's story. Mike had always assumed he wasn't creative. He worked in a job he didn't enjoy because he believed he wasn't capable of doing anything more interesting or fulfilling. When Mike learned about the law of assumption, he decided to assume, "I am a creative person with valuable ideas to share." Like Sarah, it felt odd at first, but Mike committed to his new assumption. He started small, looking for little ways to be creative each day. He doodled during his lunch break, wrote short stories in the evenings, and started suggesting new ideas at work meetings. At first, nothing big changed, but Mike kept going. He noticed he was enjoying his creative activities and feeling more confident sharing his ideas. After a few months, one of Mike's suggestions at work led to a significant improvement in their processes. His boss was impressed and put Mike in charge of a new creative project. This success boosted Mike's belief in his new assumption. He started exploring other creative pursuits outside of work, too. A year later, Mike had started a small side business selling his artwork online. He felt more fulfilled and excited about life than he had in years. These stories show how the law of assumption can work in different areas of life. For Sarah, it helped her overcome a specific fear and improve her career. For Mike, it opened up a whole new side of himself and led to both career advancement and personal fulfillment. Remember, these changes didn't happen overnight. Both Sarah and Mike had to persist with their new assumptions, even when they didn't see immediate results. They took small actions to support their assumptions and remained patient as changes gradually unfolded. Your story with the law of assumption will be unique to you. You might use it to improve your relationships, boost your confidence, advance your career, or enhance your health. The key is to choose an assumption that feels meaningful to you and commit to it. As you work with the law of assumption, you might want to keep a journal of your own success stories. Write down the changes you notice, no matter how small. Over time, you'll create your own inspiring story of transformation. We've covered a lot of ground in exploring the law of assumption. We've learned that this powerful principle is about more than just positive thinking. It's about fundamentally changing how we view ourselves and the world around us. We started by understanding what the law of assumption is and how it works in our daily lives. We explored the mirror effect, seeing how our inner beliefs are reflected in our outer experiences. We tackled common doubts and learned strategies to overcome them. We also practiced a simple exercise to start applying the law of assumption in our lives. We discussed the importance of patience and persistence, understanding that real change takes time and consistent effort. Finally, we looked at real-life success stories, seeing how people have used this principle to overcome fears, discover new talents, and create more fulfilling lives. Remember, the law of assumption isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on positive possibilities and believing in your ability to grow and change. It's about assuming the best of yourself and your abilities and then acting in alignment with those assumptions. As you move forward, keep in mind that this is a journey. There may be challenges along the way, but each challenge is an opportunity to reinforce your new, empowering assumptions. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small victories, and stay committed to the process. The power to change your life lies within you. Your assumptions and beliefs are the brushes with which you paint your reality. By mastering the law of assumption, you're taking control of that paintbrush and creating a masterpiece of your own design. So what assumption will you choose to make about yourself and your life? What possibilities will you open yourself up to? The choice is yours, and the potential is limitless. Remember, every great change starts with a single thought, a single assumption. Your new assumption today could be the first step towards the life you've always dreamed of. Trust in the process, believe in yourself, and watch as your world transforms around you. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the law of assumption. I hope you feel inspired and empowered to start applying this principle in your own life. Remember, you have the power to unlock your potential and create the life you truly desire. It all starts with what you choose to assume. So what will you assume today?